to discern between truth and falsehood. And you shall also grant the population of this nation and those that are in the diaspora the patience to go through, see through the proper proceedings of the TRRC. And at the end of it, you shall grant each and everyone a satisfaction in the reward that you will give. This we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Bishop Odeko. Council, if we are ready with this morning's witness, can you please proceed?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, commissioners and members of the audience. May I ask that the witness be brought in, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I, retired General Tombong Tamba,
I, retired General Tombong Tamba,
do swear that
I
I'll speak the truth,
I will speak the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Good morning, General Tamba. Welcome to the TRRC.
Good morning, Council. Thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to testify today before this commission. General, we want to interpose, we want to accommodate interpretation in one local language. So that those watching at home would be able to follow the proceedings. I know you're very fluent in the English language. In fact, you speak so many languages. Can't list them all. Do you care to speak in any local language, or you would prefer to speak in English?
I would prefer to speak in English.
Fantastic. Would you? Okay, we would have interpretation in the Mandinka language, if you don't mind. That way, those watching at home would be able to follow the proceedings.
Whichever language you choose, I'm okay.
Thank you very much. Considering that we would have interpretation in the Mandinka language, I would request that you allow for the interpreter to finish interpreting before you respond. That way, I mean, they are able to capture everything that is said, and also, I mean, the speeches would not overlap. May I ask that the officer in the booth move away from there, because it would appear that on the screen it would appear that he's sitting right there escorting the witness. We do not wish to convey any such impression. Thank you very much. Good, Mr. Tamba, could you confirm that you are sitting there all by yourself and be ready to speak freely to the commission?
Certainly, I am sitting here freely and I'm prepared to speak to this commission.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I remind you that it is a criminal offense in the laws of this country to lie on the oath or to provide false information to the commission. You've just taken an oath to speak the truth. Please answer instead of nodding your head.
Certainly. I'll speak the truth and nothing but the truth.
Fantastic. Interpreter, could you...
akamem fo wala nyindi ko sedo ye kalile ko ebe tonyale folo andunga be kana mudanda nyinda fanan ko ge mbela luwa kono jang luwa balantal pour tumala men e kalota ibina diamula e kuma sato walofo andu hani kabi fanan TRRC fanan sartol kono memula luwaldi ay balantal pour ye kali ena kuma soto balo fanan fo sila aka wala fo ya faham le bang ila fahamuro ni atra ya faham kane ko jija no fo ha nga faham le waranto hani ma faham ere ko aya faham.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Before we start, General, I just want to explain that this commission is not a witch hunting exercise. We are here trying to establish the truth about what has happened in the 22 years of Jammeh's rule. There is no favoritism. There is no form of unfairness that we would knowingly met on any individual or group. We try to do things to the best of our ability, knowing that fairness and justice should be our guiding principles. We are not perfect. We may not always get it right, but we always strive to do it well, with respect, bearing in mind that our ultimate objective is to reveal the truth for all Gambians to know, so that we can all heal from the ills of the past, reconcile as a people, and shift our focus to national development and unity of the Gambia. And it is in that spirit that we would do this exercise. We would like to discuss the following issues with you today. Your biographical information, so that we can know who you are. We would discuss the 1994 coup d'etat. You must have heard your name mentioned several times. We need to know the role that you played, for the purposes of establishing the accurate historical record about what happened in that incident. We would also like to discuss with you the arrest and surrender to the NIA of this person called Sam Kambai. We also want to discuss the 2006 Ndur Cham coup d'etat. Your version of events, what happened, and also the investigations that occurred at the NIA prisons. Of course, you know there are allegations, adverse suggestions of you having been present when people were being interrogated in torturous environment.
andum to nyala mi asikeno yenyi moyle fo ko itol fotale kisi wato mena tumbo mena kisikisiro dolo ni karol ni jabiro dolo katra kirin je enaye jeto.
We would also want to talk about your own victimization.
Andum in belafla ka kacha fana ita fon kundingo yekole akol men soro ibulol kono.
That is the alleged 2009 Tombong Tamba coup d'etat.
Wolem tumiro le melle kan wolem 2009 Tombong Tamba coup d'etat ning a membaida.
I don't call it like that to suggest that you organized the coup d'etat.
Ma kuma ni na ko manyin to diala ko ka fo ko yete coup d'etat ni yow le tabi.
I just called it like that because that's what it was called.
Mga ni aje ngawa kumandi otola ka tungo to mu ka kumandi otola no.
Are you ready to proceed, Mr.
Silang sedo ibe pare ne bang purunga kasani nga damu tabang.
The chairman of the commission,
Ako commission la chairman,
distinguished commissioners,
commissioner lumenu bijang,
the lead counsel,
kansul nyatonko,
the staffs of the TRRC,
TRRC doku lalu,
audience,
lamuir lalu,
good morning to you all.
albe alisama.
I want to put on record
Lafta nyin koindila.
that I am here this morning before this commission
Nata jang nyin somanda commission nyatilimula,
to shed light
ruka kolu lankenema.
on the issues mentioned by the lead counsel,
Lead counsel ye kumakanga lumenu fo ay nyinin kar kumo lumenu fo.
and I want to assure you all
Ndumbe nyim bambandila mobe makfananko.
that I will speak the truth
Mbe tonyale fola.
and nothing but the truth,
Ndunte fem fola me manke tonyati.
because I know certainly
Tatu nyin koita mako.
sitting here
Kasijang.
I can't hide anything from Almighty Allah.
Nte fem fem nun noma mari alama.
In fact, Allah has knowledge of what I'll be coming to say here.
Tatu ala fango yalo nembina fem fem fola jang abe koiring alamale.
I used to handle a very high responsibility in this country,
Palasi kuma bale tartambulu no menin doku saharim ba tata no nyola.
it was based on trust.
Andu beta abelari no jikole kang.
And I want to assure you that
Lafta nyim bambandila ko.
based on that trust,
O jiko kang
I'll speak the truth before you,
mbeto nyale fola mobe nyala
because
jang.
it is that truth
Tatu otonya
that will help you
wala be mako irokela.
discharge your functions.
Al sala do kolo timmandino.
And thank you very much. I'm ready.
Ala barka bake mparetale.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tamba.
What
What are your full names?
Ito ni kondongo muneti.
My full names are
Ntolumu,
retired Lieutenant General
retired Lieutenant General
Tombong Tamba.
Tombong Tamba.
What's your date of birth?
Ila wulu sang mulunju maldi.
My date of birth is 2nd of January,
Nguluta January karotili fulo
1967.
1967.
Where were you born?
Wulu da min dole.
I was born in the village of Sintet
Nguluta Sintet Satewleto
in Fonyi Jaro district
Fonyi Jarol Tundo Kang
of West Coast region.
Brikama Banko Kang.
Is West Coast region Birkama Bangkok?
It's part of the Banko.
Right. Just one of those. Thank you very much.
Mbarabaga.
Where did you go to school?
Yela karamo ga min dole.
I did my primary school in St. John Bosco Primary School in Sintet,
Nana primary karambung ke St. John Bosco primary karambung to Sintet Satewto.
where I did my 5 years primary school.
Nana Sanjilulo primary karambung ke wolto.
Some will wonder why 5 years instead of the normal 6 years.
Dulu se for wow Sanjilulo adu anyanta kala Sanji woroleti.
It happened that when I was in primary 1,
Keta ko brimbe num primary 1
along with my former mates
nen kafunyolu menu be karangola num
in primary 1, one of them came out first, the other one second. I came out third in our exams.
bringa kontibo ke londi kontibo doye follow soto doye plus franjango soto ntenga sabanjango soto
We got promoted to primary 2.
to yenteli saundi onyale kan samba primary 2
Primary 2, when we took our exams,
primary 2 fanam bringa londi kontibo ke
the positions followed in that same order.
bitung na londi kontibo flow ketanu nyami nyim fulanjango fanan ketagole nyama
The headmaster then
tumo memu karamundo suti oti
and our class teacher
ninna class kono karandirla
felt that
ye nyinje ko
we were probably very bright
asaka bitum nying muntan telling hakili dima balle munti.
It was then Honorable Jane Qualify was the headmaster.
Honorable Jane Qualify, well, headmaster tinu.
So the three of us have to jump primary 3 and go straight to primary 4.
Del mosabo yen saundi primary 3 la 10 and data primary 4.
So, and in our first year in primary 6, we passed the common entrance.
Some follow primary 6 mbe common entrance londi kontibo ganye.
I opted for Nusrat High School.
Nusrat High School karambongole Tombong.
So from Sintet Primary, I went to Nusrat High School in 1981.
Abo Sintet Primary in Tata Nusrat High School 1981 sangokono.
And you did O levels at Nusrat?
O level like
Yes, Council. I did my O level at Nusrat.
Council ngana O levels ke Nusrat le.
Did you do any A levels?
A level fanan keleba?
No, I did not, because when I finished in fact, when I was sitting to my O level,
ani mang A level ke katumbe O level londi kontibo ke kan wato meng.
Which in that same period I was attending the selection entrance into the Gambia National Gendarmerie.
Bitum o wati kilingo fanang. Mbema be kan tombondir bengoto pour kam be molu tombon kantu mena ke dundi Gambia National Gendarmerie.
So when I finished my exams May June,
ringanna londi kontibo bang May June,
before the results could come out,
ya nin kibarol fanglu be fintila nang,
I got selected into the Gambia National Gendarmerie and started training in August 1st.
Utumole yentel ta Gambia National Gendarmerie nga karang fango damuta August karo tilifolo.
1981.
1981.
I have your bio here, and under educational qualifications, you have here GCE advanced level WIC.
GCE or advanced WIC.
Advanced level.
Advanced level.
So, considering the statement you've just made, perhaps that should be changed to ordinary level.
Correct, Council. It must be a typical error.
Ordinary level.
It might be a typical error. It's O level.
Asikeno safernya filoti O level lem.
Okay. And after your selection in the gendarmerie, did you pursue any other further education?
During idunta Gambia National Gendarmerie sojare karango nyindo fo inata na londi karango do gelaba.
Yes, I did the recruit training at the Fajara Barracks in Bakau.
Ngadundang karango kele gendarmerie ni bedunna je ngaw karango ke Fajara Barracks Bakau.
Then for a period of about 1 year.
Men tata han fo sanje kilingu chewo.
And when we passed out,
I
got promoted to the rank of Lance Corporal.
And
then posted at the Territorial Gendarmerie headquarters at the Karaba Station when it was newly opened.
Karaba Station or Dial Kutake Drone Territorial Station, Yent Samba Woleto, Doko Damuta Woleto.
Working on then Captain Ibrahim Chongan.
Whilst in the force, did you pursue any other education? We're not now talking about your ranks and promotion and progression. We're just talking about education. We want to establish the qualifications that you have.
Certainly, Council, in 1991.
Council 1991 sangokono.
I, alongside with 4 other cadet officers,
had
the opportunity to pursue military training officer basic course in Turkey.
Officer basic training officer Turkey.
And in that process, you had to study the Turkish language as well.
Yes, we studied Turkish language in Istanbul for a period of 1 year. Sorry, around 6 months.
Allow the interpreter to finish,
okay,
so that these speeches would not overlap. All right, and apart from the Turkish language course you did in Turkey and the basic officer course, did you do any other forms of advanced training?
Ning abota Turkish la kangola ali men karanje aning soyeria la fondo man follow ni men karanje fo inata na do karando fanan kele bon.
Yes, Council, I had the opportunity to attend a course in the Ghana Armed Forces Staff College.
Ha to nyala ngani silo sotole pour kata Ghana la sojar karambu mbato e ka sojaro lu karandi karambu mento je ndata auto fanan karamla.
I also had the opportunity to do an advanced course in Israel.
Nga nyin silo fanan soto kata Israel ka karambu nyarin ke auto fanan.
I also studied managing security resources in Kofi Annan Institute in Accra, Ghana.
Ghana karambu bije ka fadame Kofi Annan Institute auto fanan nga londo karanje me ya lonko fanamu sojaria bunda fanko londo karangolete.
On several occasions, I had the opportunity to do advanced courses in various sectors in Republic of China, on Taiwan.
Dun sinya fula fanan soto tankata kata londi karangola Republic of China Taiwan Bangkok kang menketa atenyu londi sila karang silolti.
And many other courses. Council.
Karang fason jamalu dal council.
Sports and football administration.
Yes, I have a certificate in sports and football administration.
A certificate of Bembule, Xede Akaito, Puru Balabonyo to Fair and Katadam for Maranya.
All right. And tell us about your progression in the force when you joined.
Silang ila maka ila kul selta nyoka nyame bri idi ila bula ni zandar more do ko ila maka mo bula nyono nyame ifonya ba.
Council, in completion of my basic officer course in Turkey.
Council bringan officer makamo karango bang memba tukunguliti ngau bang Turkey to momeng.
On my return,
I
was appointed as Director of Operations for the Gambia National Gendarmerie.
Gambia National Gendarmerie la bunda ye men din palaso men dina je wala menyan tamara la kulu tamandola wala Director of Operations amunta yo makamo le dina je.
Working under the former Captain Ibrahim Chongan.
Mbedo ko ke kanu men ko to wala memmu captaino tinung Ibrahim Chongan.
Then there came a time they needed a lieutenant, for that matter, to be posted at the Presidential Guards at the State House.
Watinata soto isulata lieutenant la ibe men sambala president la kantar bundala State House kantar la lumen bije.
3 of us were shortlisted.
Endel mo sabale to safe.
We attended an interview with the former NSS National Security Service at the time.
Utumo ntata kacha ke interview nyinin karo nin jabiri kacha londi silo la karola utumo NSS lebe caring memu banko la kullo police do ku bundati.
Eventually I got selected.
Utung inatante tombong wole kono.
And I was posted to the Presidential Guards under Sadauda Kairaba's government.
Utumo lo yente samba president la kantar bunda sojaro la karola me yalon ko utumo wolem Sadauda Kairaba jawara la mansakunda nyinkora.
We would come to the events that happened while you were deployed at the State House in 1994.
Mina ko nyindole wato men yesamba president la dingira nyindo kakatara nyaron kala je wato men beje 1994.
In the meantime, let's talk about your career progression until you became Lieutenant General.
Wol kono silang ila ko nyimbulata nyono manya makamol bulata nyono manya fo inarna ke Lieutenant General.
And then we would come back to all the issues surrounding your time in the gendarmerie and the evolution or the development of the armed forces in the Gambia.
Binana murla nankul misinana murna nankul do ila wato mene be nu gendarmerie fo inata na ye wato men fananke Gambia National Army.
And this is just to help us better understand the dynamic between the gendarmerie and the army.
Yimba tinala pour kanga faham ko la nya be nyame gendarmerie anin Gambia National Army be nyoy nyame ko be lari.
Considering that you have served in both in very high positions.
Ado nyin kamala ko ite iketa molde me yalon ko gendarmerie nin Gambia National Army iketa molde me yalon ko e makama sandon kol marajele.
So now proceed from after your deployment to State House to be in the team that would be guarding the president. What happened next to your career?
Tantan ya fanya bri na rene sound the president la dingira nyin do pour yetara kafo mol kono men yalon ko lebe president nyin kantala silang afanya mun na ranake.
During the 1994 coup,
1994 coup d'etat wuche kono.
I got posted to the newly created 3 Infantry Battalion in
lo kutake Fajara Barracks la Dinkirato Bakau.
3 Infantry Battalion.
Infantry Battalion, sorry.
I becoming the commanding officer.
Inteleketa commanding officer tije memu nyaton kote.
But before then, were you at any time deployed to be responsible for supply and transport?
par janni wo fo watina na soron dala banginan e samba dingira me alongo itele mbatar la marlin tanin nala aning
Supply.
kafengol samba supply o Kenya.
Council, following the 1994 coup,
Council 1994 coup kola.
then I was transferred from the State House
Yan sound the Cabo State House.
and appointed as the first commanding officer, 3 Infantry Battalion Bakau.
Yan teke nyaton ka follow 3 Infantry Battalion Bakau.
Thereafter,
Brio batala.
I was transferred to head the Army Headquarters camp in Yundum Barracks.
Tumone yan sound the prungata sojar campo nyin kunti ya Yundum Barracks Kordato.
Then as officer commanding supply and transport units of the Gambia Armed Forces in Yundum.
Tumo supply olu men ka fengulu futandi sojarol ma aning ila kulu lanya yenke wa makamol tonu tumo be Yundum Barracks je.
So following the aborted coup attempt in 1994 November,
During 1994 November coup d'etat bayringo botala.
I got recalled and appointed as the State Guards Commander.
Tumo lem yen commandi kotake yen tombong yen ke State Guards Commander ti wolem sojarol men be president o kantala ila kuntonko.
So I've spent greater part of my service as State Guards Commander in the State House.
Nganna du ko bunga ba men siata ngaw ke State Guards Commander yala wolem sojarol men ka president o kanta State House wo do ko nga wati jamale kewto.
Thereafter, I served as Director of Admin at the Armed Forces Headquarters in Banjul under Babukar Jatta.
Nata place do fananta me yalon ko wole mun tata Babukar Jatta koto me yalon ko tembon tolle marata sojalol la kulu lanya ni nga sambanya ni nga mararo kunyala Banjul yen sambawoto tata Babukar Jatta koto je.
Then later posted at the Armed Forces Training School as the Commandant.
Ko lay na tan samba sojarol la karambu mbanyim fananto yen teleke kunton koti je commandant.
Did you at any stage serve as Chief of Staff at the Office of the President?
Watina na soron dala bangi la makamola va ke Chief of Staff ti president la office oda ba.
Yes, I had once served as Chief of Staff, Office of the President.
Nanga makamo mutale wala Chief of Staff wala do kulal membe president la office oto tella karo lantele ngawul nyato.
Wati jelu?
For less than a year.
Man sangosi.
Couple of months.
Karidanta ronga wala kije.
Couple means two.
Niko couple wala kari fulati.
Okay, about 5 months.
Nga kari lulu nyonkeje.
Good. Okay, after you became staff officer for admin and then you became commandant of the training school, what position did you hold after that?
Riyenye makama fulol fange staff officer inarna ke commandant yimu palas le mara kotenke.
After that, I had the opportunity to serve for the United Nations mission in Sierra Leone for the second term.
Briwo botala lomnata na tara palaso to yen samba United Nations la bunda la Sierra Leone menkata sinya fulanjangote.
That was in December 2003.
Wakata December konole 2003.
But before that one, I was among the first military observers and military personnel who were posted to Sierra Leone.
Bari janniwo be kala ntelle mo folol ti menu tata sojaria karola korosi rola ning kadukulu Kenya jibe Sierra Leone ntelle mo folol ti menu tata ji.
For a period of 1 year in 1999, July.
1999 July karo kono bitum woyen nga ngawla kije nga sanji mumele fanke do ko la ji.
So whilst in the mission area in December,
Bari mbe do ko la wo do ko tamandinya karola December kono.
There was a change in the command and structure of the Gambia Armed Forces.
Falinguna atake Gambia sojaro la nyaton kaya makamulu aning bulanyono mo Kenya fanana karola. Falinguketaji.
Where the CDS was replaced and his deputy as well at the time.
Tembole msojaro lubela kunton ko anim mensimbe ofango kang yewlu be faling.
Then Vincent Jatta got promoted and appointed as the Chief of Defense Staff.
utumole Vincent Jatala Palaso Lafa ya ke sojarol bela kundonkoti Chief of Defense Staff.
I was appointed as Deputy Chief of Defense Staff whilst I was still in the mission area in Sierra Leone.
Yente Tombong utumole kanke anolankoti Deputy Chief of Defense Staff but woyatra hanimbi mbe do ko la nun Sierra Leone o do ko nyin yentata mentamandi je.
So when I returned back, I was on my 2 weeks vacation.
Then
Vincent had a problem and he was relieved of his duties.
Vincent nata kole ya kosoto ya la palaso lutabulu.
And Asansar was appointed as the CDS.
Tumole Asansar Tombong ya ke sojaro la kundonkoti CDS.
And I continued to serve under Asansar as Deputy CDS.
Continue ka duko ke Asansar koto hanimbi ka ke anolankoti Deputy CDS.
Until a time that Asan also had a problem.
And for wato nata soto Asan fana ye kole ya kosoto.
And he was replaced by Ndur Cham.
Inatate fana mbondi je ye Ndur Cham kije.
At a time when I was still Deputy CDS.
Hanimbi obe ya tarantelam CDS nolankoti.
But I was never appointed.
Bari wotumo enena man Tombong.
And I continued to serve under Ndur Cham as his deputy.
Continue ka duko ke Ndur Cham koto kontelemo anolankoti.
Until during the foil coup of 2006, that is Ndur Cham's foil coup.
And for 2006, Ndur Cham la coup d'etat bayringo wuchew nyinkono.
Eventually, I got appointed as Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces.
O kola lo mina tante tombo yenke sojaro lukunton koti Chief of Defense Staff Gambia la sojaro lukuna.
The position I held
Palaso ngamara hanifo
about 3.5 years.
Sanji sabanin to mbeo palaso to.
Until in August 2009,
And for August Karokono 2009,
that I got implicated in a coup.
Tumolem inatanto dundi kudeta kono.
But before my implication in the coup,
Rijani benteto dundi la kudeta kono.
I got removed from my post as Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambian Armed Forces.
Yambondi na palaso to le kabo sojar kunton kaya la Gambia la sojaro lukunna.
So I was trying to familiarize myself with my new life.
Tumo mbakata kang ndunta kukuto menkono mbakata kang purka dali akenyala.
So that was maybe 3 to 4 months after my removal as CDS.
Wotata le fokari sabakarna ni watu me yembondi sojar kunton kayala.
Resting at home with my family.
Besu kono ni na dimbalo benyokan.
I got implicated again, in a coup.
Tumolem kotake yento fo ko kudeta do kono.
This was in 2009.
Waketa 2009.
It seems that all CDSs always wound up in problems.
Amunda fele ko CDS wolem sojaro la nyaton kol be kuwel ni nyalla bon be kan ida kanabula ko le akol.
Certainly, going by the trend, you would notice that yes.
Wolem to nyale modine ko tanya nyi ne ajube ya krosi a lata wala nyamade.
We will interrogate why CDSs would always end up in trouble.
Ba ko nyi nyinin kala ngai long muna ya sabu sojaro la nyaton kol wato wari la makamo nyina nyala bon nyingi kana bula kole yala kono mba nyini kala nga jube.
And during all this period of lengthy service,
you
received a number of medals and awards. And a number of citations. You got promoted to second lieutenant in 1992.
1992, yera makamola fa ke second lieutenant.
Yes, Council.
Tonyala Council.
Lieutenant in 1993.
Yeke lieutenant in 1993 sango kono.
Captain in 1995.
Captain 1995 yeke captain odi.
Major in 2001.
2001 sango kono yeke major odi.
Correct.
Yes.
Lieutenant Colonel in 2004.
2004 sangono yeke Lieutenant Colonel di.
Correct.
Tonya.
2006 Colonel.
2006 sangono yeke Colonel di.
Correct.
Tonya.
And 2007 Brigadier General.
2007 sango yeke Brigadier General.
Correct, Council.
Tonya.
And soon after that, 2008 you became Major General.
2008 sangono inata nake Major General odi.
Tonya.
And 2009 you became Lieutenant General.
2009 kono inata nake Lieutenant General.
Tonya la Council.
This is super rapid promotions. You would agree?
Nimuma kama lafa tariyari ngolti ibe sonna wala.
I agree.
Msonta.
In fact, from major
kabo major makamoto
in 2001,
2001 sang kono
by 2009, you were Lieutenant General.
kana fo 2009 kono yiri nata naki lieutenant general oti.
Correct.
I don't know military ranking very well.
But
that rank would be just below Field Marshal. It does not in reality exist.
Lieutenant General is below General, that is this 4-star General.
Lieutenant General wobe general lumale demanding memu lolo nani generaloti tubabu counter ka fole 4-star general.
Yes, but you see, in Gambia, once you are Brigadier General, we call them all General.
Yeah, the Gambia ni keta general ringa Brigadier General ka fo be Brigadier General.
Council, that does not apply only in the Gambia, but in most countries, that's the certain part of it. Instead of Brigadier General, they just call General to make it short.
General o muto council o muto nyalti bo dan amanke Gambia dan mantide o mu banku jamal le kanti handi keta Brigadier General te pour ka asuti andi drone ka fole drone general.
I just raised this to show that you had very, very rapid promotion, you would agree, by every standard.
Ngayon ko findin dila ram puru ka itandi ko itela makamol nying ye makamol memara ila makamol nyin tariata baga ka bulanyo noma.
Council, okay, you can say so, but in military,
Council tonyala isa fono nya bari sojar ya bundala.
There are certain occasions that, and in fact, I know even in the civil sector, there are certain occasions that people are awarded for their hard work.
Aketa sojar bundati bang, aketa bundati civilian lo fana la karola bang, bari nin kato dolu keta doku bundal la karola eketa mo sairi muti wakil ta yela doko ke anyama, jama eke mari fana sarale ila o doku kendo kang.
And during my tenure in the Gambia Armed Forces,
and
during the period that you've mentioned, when I was promoted from Brigadier General, Major General, Lieutenant General,
and Major General, Brigadier General, Lieutenant General,
I think the records are there to speak for themselves.
The
reason why I was accorded those promotions, you will find it difficult to understand. But if you have a chat with the members of the Gambian Armed Forces, the soldiers, they'll be able to give you an overview as to the reason why I was promoted to those various ranks.
Look, Mr. Tamba, there is no reason for one to try to diminish your capabilities or what you have done for the armed forces or what you have done in Gambia. That is not our purpose.
Dalil sedo dalila taje pour moya ko nyin so ka ye ko katakul mem fere ye fero katol benke Gambia National Army la bunda koto mo dalila taje pour moya so
you did as you were expected to do.
Ya kala ko jiko ni tama men ditela ya wala mafa.
That does not denigrate the fact that these promotions were very, very rapid by every standard.
Among Kenyindika, Ila Kunika, so Waranto, Hakil Flasology, Bari, Memutonia, Willem Yintiko, Ila Macamoli, Itariata Bulan, Yono Yaman, Willem Quote, Itariata Bakele.
That is why I said promotions in the armed forces and sometimes be based on merit.
But you would agree that also they can be based on favoritism.
Yeah, in certain situations, but in this particular situation, there was nobody I could compete with because I was the only CDS, so there was nobody I could compete with.
Silo lolu wakakenole, bari nyi silo luntebe memfo kanteng, utumo modo tijenteni mense mnyo sabano, amari tijenu, dalilo kang, wairi ntelebe lori nga silo kang, kili ninyo sabanyo tije. So wala nakulu ketacheng.
You would agree that all these promotions would come with increase in pay and increase in packs.
Mbibesto na nyinna la ko nyi makama lafal be ila jumari ila joka lafale anila kudol soto bulodol fananka lafale.
Certainly, Council, you are right, but I want you to understand one thing.
Tonyala Council, it Tonyala, Memfotem, but left a cooking faham.
When I was the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambian Armed Forces,
Brinta Musoja, Tefana Fana Nolan Kolu, Anim Bunda Kundonka Kotangulu, Sojar Bundala, no Fanali Sitale.
and we had a plan to restructure and expand the Gambian Armed Forces in terms of command and structure.
Andunganyim Fero Londinunko. Nyanta Gambia sojar bunda bala fero lulandilale bunda lu nyanta lola nyamen aninka sojar bunda fango ka kono fanundi.
And once that is in place,
Ning tata hanfo ngawlo dula sotonung
certainly new ranks have to be created.
woto e bajala ko makama kutolu be sotolale be mennu fintindi la ke londi.
Not to cut you short, Mr. Tamba, that is understandable.
mele kuma kuntude ngaw fahamle
But isn't it really the case
fonyina manke kuoti
that by 2009,
2009 sango kono
the Gambia National Army
Gambian National Army do ko bunda
was too small to have a lieutenant general?
adoyata bakel no pour kam makama soto ndije memu lieutenant oti
Is
lieutenant general oti
It was the Gambian Armed Forces, not National Army.
Amunta utumo Gambian Armed Forces lombara manke National Army.
We comprise of the Army, the Navy, and the National Republican Guards.
Lumbunda sabale bije Army, Navy, and National Republican Guards. Nilbemu sojar bunda letunu.
How many personnel are we talking about?
bedo kula jelle la kumo fo kanja so
And so, from your own point of view,
Council kaboy fang la jero
Could we
karola.
answer the question?
yes,
How many
I'm
personnel-
coming, so that you'll understand better.
Ankanale leftale ya faham kendeke wala na.
Just
You will see it from a
Mr.
different
Tamba,
angle.
Mr. Tamba, answer the question, and if there needs to be an explanation, we would give you the chance to explain.
Okay.
nin
go-
karo nyin
That's
jabiro
okay,
nin ga
Sonaja.
sulo beje pour ya sara be silo dile pour isa sara ya kono fanundi
The numbers, how many personnel are we talking about here by 2009?
2009 sango kono bedo kula jelle so jaro jelle fo kan o wato la
By 2009, the Gambian Armed Forces has gone close to 7,000 plus.
By 2009 sang wayatara Gambia la sojar bunda tata wuli woro wala bala ka kata wala dal wala ase tambino wala dumandi.
Is it your belief that to lead 7,000 armed men, you have to have the rank of Lieutenant General?
fo nyim wila lannol di ko pour ka tambi mol no mialon ko do kulal men tar fo mo wili woro wala a jareta pour mo e makama so men bida fo lieutenant general
It can be possible. The armed forces at that strength can be led by a lieutenant general or a major general.
Ase keno le wo niu futata o sembe dato. Wo dinkira major general wala lieutenant general si o bunda nyaton kaya nole.
Or even a brigadier general?
waranto han brigadier general
Certainly.
Ya tonyala.
Or even a colonel?
waranto colonel makamo
Certainly.
Or
Tonyala.
even a lieutenant colonel?
waranto lieutenant colonel fam
All that is possible.
Bese keno le.
So you could see that what we had
o tay ba jele nga men soto
was overbloated
abe siari len abe kabiya kibirindi len
with ranks
aning makamo lala
that were not necessary
min yanu ko man jarala
on the basis of the strength of the forces that we had.
nyin kamala ko nga sojaro nanga mo men soto no watola
Isn't that true, Mr. Tamba?
o wala manke toñade
And so that is why I need to give an overview so that you'll understand what led to the creation of those ranks.
Please go ahead.
Council wala na lafta kanyin ko sate ye kabo nyoto mune ya sabu hani fo yo makama bundalu be londi.
But before you do that,
jannibe o kala
do you just answer the question
ñinin karol ñin jaabi dron
that if the forces could have been led
ni ngayatra kafo sojer kunda ñin ye ñaton kaya
even by a colonel,
hanni ngatra me ñaton kaya konelo makamo le babulu
creating ranks up to lieutenant general
makamol wi da bundal yele men bida fo lieutenant general
was just overblowing, or
Kulet me anon ko ya
can be
kibirindile.
interpreted as just creating ranks for the purposes of appeasing people.
mo sa kanna sorlo ñala ka fo ron ko kaw makamol ke fintin le ron pour ka mol juso ñabo ala ron
But they were not absolutely necessary for the smooth functioning of the armed forces.
bari mo do sa fo no ko man jara la fam pour kaw makama bal ke bundal yele pour ñim nay sojare ndi o me alan ko man fanu baake akono man fanu baake
Council, you will see it that way from your point of view.
Council ite bajela wala nyama ite la jero karola.
That is why I said, it's unless I give you an explanation,
Wala nanganyum foko nimmang akolu sata kaboye
you
nyoto.
will not see it from the point that we saw it.
Itatajila nyama kontelu yaje nu nyame.
In any setup,
Bunda wo bunda loring.
if there is going to be any expansion,
Ning kono fanundo be kelaje.
even in the civil sector,
Hani do ku bunda kotangolla.
in an expansion situation,
Ning bunda fanundo be kelaje.
positions have to be created
Foye palasolu dada molu be dunna mennuto.
so that those ranks can be fitted in those positions.
Pro wo palasolu men be dada la wonya isa den wo do ko lu bala men nyanta kala.
At that time, in correction,
O tembo men ika foten wotumo.
the Gambia Armed Forces,
Gambia la sojar bunda.
we had a plan for an expansion.
Ferole parendi pour ka sojar bunda kono fanundi.
That was why at that time,
Wala na wo tembo
we had plans
na ferole parendi.
and we opened a barracks. It was to be a battalion in after is Ndungu Keba, around SL area.
Nata
Okay, Njongo.
nata dinkira da doku gun lafta kala num battalion leti dame yalon ko nga doku njongon ma fangola.
We opened another barracks in Lamen Koto.
Tata dinkira do fana yele lamen koto.
We opened another barracks in Mansakonko
Tata sojar korda do fana yele mansa konko.
because we felt that once ranks have been created,
Tatu nga nyinje ko niwo palaso lu menu mu makama palaso tiniolu dada.
we have to create positions so that those individuals can be given responsibilities.
Tatu fonga lo dula lu dada menu be dunna o palaso to fo insela do ko lu dila ni o makamolu.
And my plan at the time was
Tembo dun tela fero momenti.
to have SL or what's the name again? Lamen Koto, what's the name? SL, huh? Njongon,
Tela fero momenti num pour njongon
Farafenye,
farafenye
and Lamen Koto
ni lamen koto.
to be under a brigade strength.
Ulisike makamo ti sojaro nangamo menyanta tala brigade yiriko kono pour ulisitara makamo.
One of the generals
General lu killing
will be in charge of that brigade.
wala betarla wo brigade yiriko kunna.
Mansakonko was also open.
Mansa konko fana yeleta.
Then it was going to be Mansakonko, Kudang, and Basse
Wo bekela mansa konko kudang anim base
was also going to be a brigade.
fana bekela faye brigade bundale.
Mr. Tamba,
Yes.
Sedo
your plan
ila fero
broke the glass ceiling in terms of ranks for military in Gambia, correct?
wonar na kol nyin lana tambila men nar na makamul bundal yele sojar kundaro Gambia.
Yes.
Tonya
And the floodgates were then opened
Bunda yeleta
for promotions, very, very rapid promotions, correct?
makamul di tariyaringe.
Council, it depends what you mean by rapid promotions.
bitung atuta ko Kenya la bala niko palace la fataringo.
The floodgates were opened for people to just attain very, very high ranks.
Bunda yeleta nyami wala nyidi puru makamul di mol tariyaringe.
Certainly, if there is to be an expansion, people have to be prepared for that expansion.
Tonya nin kono fanundo bekela oto famoli pare wo fanundiro kama.
In fact, this plan paved the way for people to move from very junior ranks, tap, general in 3 years.
Inarna bunda fangoli yele sojar kundar dolbeje dindinna sojarol melan ko makamo be doyaring anarna silo yele pour que la makamo nya yesele tariyaringe sanji saboko no.
Council, I'm not aware of that. Maybe you can give me examples. I'm not aware of that.
Council mambo kalama de asake ite londi bari nte mambo kalama.
At the eve of Jammeh's departure, we have read that people were promoted very rapidly to generals.
Ja Jammeh ta ngajele mol ye la makamol la tariyaringe.
Is that true or false?
Fo mu tonyalde fo mage tonyade.
Council, the period you are talking about, I was not in the military.
Council ibe wato men fo kante nte mantara sojarolu.
But even whereas,
Bari hanna tara be nya fana.
the president being the commander-in-chief
President memmo sojarolu be kunton koti.
has the prerogative
Nyim kango ba abulule
to promote any serving member
ruka mo womondi na palaso la fa membe do ko
for
kono.
reasons best known to him.
Dalilolu kan ate fango ye dalilolu melo.
So this party was sanctioned by the CDS at the time.
Bari wotumo CDS fango man wo palaso lu di amanga
They
ma.
were sanctioned by the commander-in-chief
bari bitun commander-in-chief memukul kuntonkoti wala yoludi.
Mr. Tamba, we are not disputing that under the law, the commander-in-chief is responsible for promotions.
Sedo mambala nyinna ko commander-in-chief wala sojaro bela kuntonkoti nyimman kalo kunto duno de puruka makama lafa ke.
And it is not suggested by any means that you are responsible.
Mo manyin fana mira ko ko itel be marlingala.
What I am trying to establish is
Lafta kamen sabatinde wala mnyinti ko
that there were rapid promotions in the army for whatever reason.
ko makama lafal be kerin den ko dalila dale atura mari la bulu membe kerin.
And that a lot of these promotions just overbloated unnecessarily the needs of the army.
Ko ni makama jama lafal be membe kerin o be kerin den asikeno manjara la fanu membe kerin no sojar kunda to watola.
Whether you are there or not.
Foi be nunjele ban foi te nunje.
This is the point I am trying to establish.
That
in our army, the door was opened and ranks were given to the highest level, or to the next highest level, as you would want to call it, even though our armed forces was not big enough to accommodate for all those ranks. This is the point I am trying to establish. Do you agree?
And so I cannot talk on an issue that did not happen during my time. That was why I was able to explain to you the reason why during my time we created those ranks so that they can take up those responsibilities that will be assigned to them.
Let
But I've said that as the commander-in-chief, he has prerogative to award promotions. So the ones you are talking about were sanctioned by the president, who happened to be the commander-in-chief.
Maybe, General, you did not listen to me.
General said,
I was not suggesting that you were there and that you played a role. Neither am I trying to suggest that the president and commander-in-chief did not have the power. All I am saying is that you are an expert in this field. In all honesty, with an army of 7,000 people, you told us a colonel could have effectively run that army. Didn't you tell us that?
Yes, I did.
Then it was unnecessary to go beyond colonel, have a brigadier general. It was not necessary to go beyond that and have a major general. And it was not necessary to go above that and have a lieutenant general. Isn't that true?
Council, I disagree with you, with this theory. If I say a colonel can handle that responsibility, those are usual in extreme cases. But that does not necessarily follow that you cannot promote officers to higher ranks to take up those responsibilities.
Mr. Tamba, as a responsible citizen, with expert knowledge on militaries and military structure and hierarchy, forget about the fact whether you are there or not there. Do you honestly think that the promotions and current rank structure we have in the Gambia National Army is reasonable and justified under Gambia's current economic circumstances?
Fo ajare talala bang Gambia la economy be lari nyaming na kol be lari nyam fo ajare talala bang pour kaw makama bal be londi bang.
Council, I will say yes with an explanation.
Council nsa fono ha bari nsa asata aketa nyami akenya nsa
I didn't mention to you about the plan to expand the armed forces.
nganyim fero fo ko fero soton tan lafta sojar bunda kono fanundila
by sanctioning responsibilities.
pro kalodula ni makamolu ni lotan kangolu di molula.
So you cannot give those responsibilities without preparing the men, giving them the ranks, preparing them. Then how do you give those responsibilities?
Itewolo dulalu dino la wo molula ime parendi anim fanang ime amakamo dila puriyo palasolu tamandi.
I've talked about the creation of new responsibilities in terms of dividing command as well.
Nganyim fanang fole purulu tankang kutolu puru menu nyantalola anim fanang kangobe dila nyamin kantiolu kaulu fanang la kolubo nyoka.
So to my understanding, that was why we created the division to create regional command by creating new barracks, which I said Lamenkoto, Mansakonko, and Nungukebe.
Wala nanganyim foko wo dalilo le ya sabu nga sojar korda kutolu parendi Ndungukebe kata anufo Mansakonko.
Let me end this discussion by asking just one question. Are you satisfied that for just 7,000 men you require a lieutenant general?
For nying tilung kono fo yidi amre ngi sew ay konta sew tala puru so yar kunda mentara mo wili worowla a jareta puru lieutenant general yetaraje memba nyaton kayal.
I am.
Ha nsonta.
Thank you. But do you also think that for a person who could not even pass common entrance of the Gambia to be given ranks like lieutenant colonel, do you honestly think that that is appropriate?
Council,
just say yes or no.
Yes, I'll come to that. I've said it here that the commander in Bisa, he feels, for reasons best known to him. There is another section we call Q Commission. These are particular ranks like the warrant officers, we call them. This particular officer has served for a long period in the armed forces with a very good track record. He can be promoted to those kind of ranks.
But those key commissions, you move from say warrant officer 102 to
warrant officer lieutenant colonel.
That is the case.
Exactly. But we're raising these things because the question of the promotions in the army had been raised by members of the armed forces who appeared before this commission. Do you believe that the promotions in the army were honest and genuine? Based on merit? And merit only?
Council, from my own experience and knowledge, I've said that there are two types of promotions in the armed forces. The one that is sanctioned by the Chief of Defense Staff through the various service chiefs. Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Staff will sanction the service chiefs, that is the Chief of the Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of National Republican Staff.
Memu kunto nkote ofanang sinyin kamulundi munda sabola nyato
Tamba,
I'm coming so that you'll
just
not,
bear me out. Just
so that
bear me out.
everybody will understand what I'm trying to say.
Just bear me out.
Okay.
And again, I would emphasize that we are not suggesting that you did wrong. All we are asking is, are you satisfied that all the promotions that you know about in the army happened just based on merit?
That's
yes or no answer. And
for itala mira lodo makamala fal men begere sojara kundaro fo tata ni sila la me ya lonko tata ni sila tilindi wala ba.
In certain circumstances, you can answer yes or no, but in certain circumstances, for an individual to understand further, you need to elaborate, you need to explain.
Bije isa fono le ha pro ay kewo nyama
probably you will understand, but others might not, because you have a background of military knowledge. So my explanation is to give chance to all people seated here and those watching, so that they will also understand.
We all want that, but by the way, I was never a soldier, much as they have tried. So I listen to people like you, and I get some. You have clearly established the process of promotion. Recommendations by the supervisors and prerogative of the commander-in-chief.
And we
know that the two are different. All right. So, but what I am asking, I'm not asking whether all promotions recommended by Tombong Tamba as CDS or as commander of a particular unit. I'm not asking about those promotions. I am asking about in general. The promotions in the armed forces. Do you believe that all of them were based on merit?
Council will debate on this for a while.
We don't need to just answer yes or no.
Yes, I'm coming, because some witnesses who sat on this chair before me had their own perception of how the promotion was done. So it is important that you listen to me also.
Allow me. This is why I am asking for your own perception. I am not asking for a detailed explanation about that perception. All I want to know is, what is your view? Do you believe all of them were based in merit, or you don't believe that? And then we move on. Because I don't want that over long debate that you're talking about. All I want is your personal opinion. And please bear in mind that I don't have an opinion on these things. Even if I did have an opinion, it wouldn't matter. I don't make any decision. The decisions are made by the commissioners. But it is my responsibility to bring out the questions, the things that ought to be known. So that through your answers, the commissioners would make their own opinion and make their own decisions. You have told us about that gentleman who sat in that chair and gave his own opinion.
Ya fo jang ko kenni o men sira ni sira ngabe sira ndame to fana sira je o ya fan sun kunna miro di.
It is equally important for the commission to hear your own opinion.
Hani ka biya ko maya telefona pour commission o yete fana na fanna moy.
And somebody else's opinion.
Ani mo ko ten do fana na mi kunna miro.
So that the commission can put all that together and make its own findings.
Isa je commission o si ñu mu itata ni ngodo ta ni do ko ten ta yo be ka fu ñoma ye fan sun ye fanna ko kuntu ifaye ya je nyame.
You have already explained how these promotions happen.
Ya fo janne ñi makama la fali kata nyame.
So my question to you
is,
in your opinion, honest opinion, do you believe that all these promotions you come to know about in the army are all based on merit?
Council, that will be difficult for me to answer. I've mentioned here that there are two types of promotions.
Mr. Tamba,
Council, the one sanctioned by the CDS and the one sanctioned by the President, who is the Commander-in-Chief.
Do CDS di aning Commander-in-Chief mem President
Mr. Tamba, allow me to cut you short.
Mr. Tamba, silo dina purunge ilo ko suti andi damande.
I don't want us to go about repeating the same things. We have talked about the two different types of promotions. So my question to you is, do you believe that with all these promotions from the various tracks, do you believe that they were based on merit? If you believe they were, say yes. If you believe that all of them were not based on merit, say no. If you don't know, say you don't know. And then we will proceed. Because I don't want us to spend too much time on this. You have explained how these promotions happen. Tell us just your opinion and then we move on.
Council, with due respect, I don't want to take your time on the same issue. But what I want all of us to know, particularly you, Council, I've mentioned about promotions that were sanctioned by me as the Chief of Defense Staff. But the President, being the Commander-in-Chief, he feels that he has the power and the authority to promote certain members of the armed forces. Which the CDS has no control over. So this is where the problem comes. The promotion sanctioned by the President, Commander-in-Chief, and those sanctioned by the CDS.
Let me help you and make it easier. Because the answers you're giving seems to suggest that you are fixated on your own person, your own self. So I'd help you make a neat division or distinction. Do you believe that all the promotions that you, Lang Tombong Tamba, have sanctioned, that they are all based on merit?
Yes, I believe, simply because these recommendations comes from their service chiefs, their battalion commanders to their service chiefs, and then to my table. Yes, I say yes for that. Me yalon ko men botante la karola bang wolo dita anyalema aning president fonfana yala makamulu menu di molla.
It was so easy to give an answer, wasn't it?
Yes.
So now, the promotions that were made by the president in exercise
makama la fal men dita ka bonam president wala ko loi sembo men diala
of the powers bestowed to him by the Constitution
ko luban ko loi sembo men diala pour asake ka makamol di
to promote people in the armed forces.
ka mol la makamol lafa sojar kundato
Do you believe
fo ilata nyinnale ko
that all those promotions were based on merit?
ko makama la fal min be ay menke wol be ni silo tata la ban ko loi diala nyamem ba
Your own opinion.
ifa wala kundingo miro
Council, I say yes.
Ansul mba falale ha.
Simply because
Atu
what he sees as based that it is a genuine promotion,
ate menje ko nyimu palas la fa tilindi ngoliti.
it might be different from me.
Asif keno la fata ntela karola.
But he being the commander-in-chief
Brate memu kunton koti.
is vested with certain powers to promote.
Sembolu dolu babule pour ka palaso la fa.
So my answer is yes.
Na oto na jabiro be kala haleti.
So it is based on merit simply because he has the power. That's what you just said.
ede kamem
With power alongside with merits.
Amunta sembo aning e wulfanalla lodula kendo aneo stano nyola.
Honestly, Mr. Tamba, are you telling us that there were no promotions in the army simply on the basis of tribalism?
sedo anin tilingon kono is fayla ta fola molien ko sojar kundato nuntonu makama la faka kenu nyamenji amman sujidi bi fofen me an ko anin te si fatam fansi ko
Your
manda
honest opinion, you are under oath.
ibe kalole koto de ibe til to nyani tilingon ibe la fola ibe kalole koto isi wolonde
Council, you will give me time to elaborate on that.
Ansul be wato dila na le pour nga kono fonun.
I
By
don't.
that
Mr.
I mean,
Tamba, just
no,
a
I'll
moment.
give example.
Just a moment. I honestly don't want to give you time on that. Just answer yes or no, and then we move on to another topic. I would not ask any further
What I
questions
mean is,
on that.
when I give you an answer, I'll give you the example. My answers
Okay,
is no. Simply because the tribe issue that you bent on, my deputy, when I was CDS, the deputy CDS was Yanko Badrame. Astakafulai, Masane Kinte.
Neo fonya nte be to nyansa foko kulo me alonko anio fatata kado nte be CDS yala to moment men simbente kan ikafa in Masane Kinte.
Masane was not a jola.
Masane manke jola.
Mr. Tamba, just let me stop you
talked
there.
about
Just a
tribe.
moment.
That is
Just
why
a moment.
I'm coming
Just a
to
moment.
clear on that.
Just a moment.
Okay, Council.
I did not suggest here
manni mirako
that Jolas or any other particular tribe
jola waranto si koteng
was given preference over another.
ye wolle selendi ju si kotandi
That's why I wasn't even asking for examples.
wala na misalo fa nyininka
My question to you is a simple one.
na nyininkaro mendi wala nyinda sonayata
Do you believe
ilata nyinnale
that all the promotions were based on merit?
fo makama la fal nyimbe ka ke be tata ni silolal
You said yes.
ko ha
Yes.
I asked whether do you believe that there were any other promotions that were based on tribalism?
ye nyininga haninga bi koteke fo ilata nyinnale ko makama la fa do kota ngol membe ka fo ilata nyinnale ko ikatani si fatam fansi ko wala ba
Tell me yes or no, and then we move on.
ya fanyi ha o hani ngatenten
I'm just asking for your belief.
be nyininga ka ifa wala miro la ilata menna
I'm not asking for your justification.
manye me nyininga pour yemen sabatindi la ko miro kono
So just tell me your belief.
ya fanyi ro ita lata menna
Council, I'm not giving any justification. I will give my answer is no, there was no tribalism. Promotion was not based on tribalism, and I want to give the example so that people will understand fully what I meant by that.
Be afola ko woto palace lafa mantara larin si fatam fanso kan wotumo adun nsi santi yango dino le munan nanga wofo.
Because this issue was raised earlier on, that there was tribalism in the army. The promotion was based on tribalism. If I say no, I should give my reasons so that people will fully understand why I said no.
Mr.
Tamba,
woto
much as I want to give you every latitude to explain,
ya Mr. Tamba ko akira nyawanya nyanya purunga watu dila purua efam sata nyawanya
I don't see it necessary on this occasion
maje ko ajare dala nyinsi kono ten
where you believe that there was no tribalism.
fo ila la nyinala ko si fatam fansi ko tenunje
If you had believed that there was tribalism,
ni ila nyina ko si fatam fansi ko benunje
perhaps I would give you the chance to explain which cases make you believe that.
ota se ke non si silo dino la woto no fo to mi se santingo dino na no ite jumale je milata menna
But because your answer is no,
bari la jabiro keta ko bay ko hani
it would even be unfair
razike no ata tilina fana
to try to ask you to justify.
pour ke nyininga pour ya ko nyin kono fanundi ya seneyandi
Because you cannot justify it
aduta ko to nyandi no la
without having to deal with every single case in which it is suggested that there was tribalism.
da men de ya lon ko ite santingu ma santingu di ka fo ko mosi o tasko wala santingu di ka fo ko wala makama la fani tata ni si fatam fansi kola
For us, the important thing
pour ntolla jam men kum mayata
is to be able to identify the fact
wala mnyindi ka kata ka ko to nyanyin sabatindi
whether or not there was tribalism in the army in terms of promotion.
fo abenu njela ban si fatam fansi ko be keri nun sojar kundaro fate nun je
If it is believed that there was,
ninga tra findita ko abenu njela
then the commission would make that finding
to commission ba kata la ka ko nyin ka korosi ka findindi
and would make the necessary recommendation to prevent that from happening in the future.
andum commission la yamaro kono binana ila usur kilo ila yamaro kono la pour isaje sinin sa ma ko nyin kana na murun kan kotanke
That is the purpose.
wala mu daliloti
So we are not looking at who did what.
oto mantra ko nyin jube kan ka ko nyine munke nyinke
It's not in our mandate to investigate unfair promotions.
luwa ma o sembodi na pour ka ku sifal kiskis me alon ko makama la fal keta men alon ko nintili ngomanta
Much as you would want to explain the structure to show that there was no tribalism,
ani kabini ka pour ilafta pour ka ko nyin de ka kono fanundi ka tandi ko ti fatam fansi ko toje
it would just unnecessarily expand the discussion. Like you call it, it would be a long debate, and that is not necessary.
sio nyimbe kala sila de me alon ko ata jare la fam pour ka sio nyin ka jam fande fo to abekela jam ka cha kensen neti ko me fa ya lo wi afo nyame
I hope you understand what I have just said.
jikita nyina ya fahamu le ko ngamen fo
Council, I did not understand you because I feel the purpose of this commission is to reveal the truth. So if I'm seated here wanting to explain the issue you are talking about so that the commissioners can better understand it,
All right.
and you say it is not necessary,
Mr.
then
Tamba.
what is my being here then? I want to be guided.
Mr. Tamba, I have just guided you, and clearly what you have just done is to refuse to understand. But okay, let's do it the way you want. Let's spend here 2 days, and then we explain everything.
ya nga fahamu le ye men fo
That is
andu
what
ilafta
you want.
ko la ite nyame sila nga nyebule ko nyin sara ko si tara jam fo tilifula nga ko nyin
Because what you want is
Are you left them
absolutely unnecessary, but I would give you the opportunity because I don't want it to be seen that I'm not giving you the opportunity. I'll give you the opportunity. We would spend here 2 days and discuss a subject that is absolutely unnecessary. But go ahead and explain
ye
it.
fanna karo fo ye
Yes,
ko
go
be
ahead.
lari nyamen bari isa sata sila si tara jam fo tilifula ko ilafta la nyamen sa tara jam tilifula nga ko nyin kacha nga
Proceed.
Council, if you can sit there and say those issues are absolutely unnecessary, then my comment here should not be necessary too. Because I am here to explain for you people to understand how the armed forces were working. So if you can say it is absolutely unnecessary, then my comment here should be unnecessary too.
No, Mr. Tamba, absolutely wrong.
Niko na jang amang jariala woto hanimbi niko nyanta kolu men fula man jariala woto na jang na fana man jariala
You heard from the other witnesses that were here. I was at the helm of things. I have the opportunity to let the commission understand how things were working. But if you say it is not necessary for me to explain how the promotions came about, because I heard some of them saying it was based on tribal lines. So if they make allegations that promotion in the armed forces was based on tribal lines, and I was at the helm of things, I have the opportunity to shed light so that it will help the commissioners. But if you say it is unnecessary, fine, we can move on.
No, I refuse to move on because of what you have said. And let me question you on these issues that you're just talking about. Good. Tell us about the intelligence service. Isn't the intelligence service supposed to be an institution comprising of some of the most qualified people in this country?
Which intelligence service, Council?
The intelligence service like the NIA.
Ansul, I'm sorry, I cannot talk on behalf of the NIA. I was not working there.
I'm not asking you to talk on behalf of the NIA.
Okay.
I am asking you a question.
Yes.
You are CDS of the armed forces.
Yes.
Okay. the chief of intelligence in the army should be somebody of very high level of intelligence and academic qualifications, correct?
Ni be kullo kibaro lu Kenya fola sojaro la karola memo intelligence ti woto membe o makamu marala anyanta kala moleti meya alondo soto aya lo dula sahari ngo fana long.
True or false?
Yes, true.
Mutonyal.
Do you believe that somebody with just ordinary level certificate is qualified to be director of intelligence in the Gambian National Army or in any army for that matter?
Fodun ilata nyina la ko mome yalon ko ayo makamu drone soto karam la karola ka fo meye o level fodun wo anyanta le puruka wo palaso mara me yalon ko wala be kala kullo doko police la karola akunton kaya fo mari nyanta wo palaso mara la.
Do you believe that?
In our own context, in our Gambian context, yes, I believe in that.
And you believe that our own context, we should have mediocres and people with no achievements? That's your belief?
Mundela tanyala ko molu men ya lonko iman lo dula sari ngo soto karam la karola menula londo be do yari so woto wolle nyanta tarla wo nyaton ka palaso do ilata wala la bang.
It is sad that you call in those people mediocres, and these were people who were carrying their functions fully to the best of their ability.
That
is very sad. That is very sad. I don't expect that kind of description to come from you, Council. I want you to know that the armed forces, the Gambian armed forces cannot be compared with other outside armed forces.
Could you listen, Mr. Tamba? Could you give me a chance to listen? I deplore that attitude. I do not for a moment embrace this attitude where you're trying to pit me against other people. And that is most unfair to come from you. That is not a nice thing to do.
Council, what attitude?
No, you are trying to pit me against other people, and that is most unfair. That is not a nice thing to do.
If I am doing that, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to make a justification.
Thank you very much.
It's a justification I'm trying to make.
But thank you.
Maybe you've seen it differently.
Mr. Tamba, could you calm down? Could you calm down and listen to me carefully? All I am saying is I'm not suggesting that a particular person is mediocre. I did not say that. I am saying that we have mediocre qualifications for very high positions. That was the truth, isn't it?
Nkam fa wala minti ko makama santon ko kadi mol me alon ko la londol ni la makamu la makamol ma si pour ka makamol ni maranka wala wala mto nyati.
Council, I don't want to go into any argument with you, but I know the purpose of this
could you answer the question?
Of this commission is to know what went wrong so that it can be corrected.
Mr. Tamba,
if I am explaining and you are trying to explain, to give a justification or to condemn certain areas, then what is my use of being here? To give an idea so that you can take a decision on that.
Mr. Tamba, Mr. Chair, let me just say one thing. Let me just say one thing, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind. Just point of order. Let me just say one thing before you rule.
Mike.
Proceeding.
Mike.
Yeah, to have a meeting, the three of us in the room, witness room for the moment. We do that and then we'll come back after the coffee break in 30 minutes.
So thank you, Mr. Chair.
We will do that 12:20. We come back in the room here. But if the three of us, witness, counsel, and myself, can meet in the witness room, I would appreciate it very much indeed. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.